Hello. The importance of setting healthy boundaries in a relationship cannot be overemphasized, as this would help to be clear on what makes them tick, what would get them uninterested, and what would make them feel disrespected. In fact, it is very, very imperative that just as a relationship starts to get very serious, you sit and have a talk about what their deal breakers would be. So today on the show, we'll be talking about how to set healthy boundaries in a relationship. My name is Rachel Isaac, and you are welcome to the Vibe Cafe Show.
And my name is Eric Wan, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back, beautiful people, to the show where we give you absolutely nothing but good vibes. Okay, we're on to the sit-down segment, and we will be doing this alone. You are our guest on the show. Okay, I did say earlier before we went on the break that we'll be talking about how to set healthy boundaries in a relationship. And that's basically what we're talking about today. So if you're just joining us and you didn't get to the part where we introduced what we meant exactly with the topic, it's that thing that you don't like to see, that you would tell your partner about. How important is it to tell your partner about these things, the deal breakers, the things that would end the relationship should they happen? How do you tell them? How do you set those boundaries in a relationship? Now today, for those who are worried or confused about what I mean by relationship or what we mean by relationship, we're simply talking about relationships generally. It could be the one you have with your father, your mother, your siblings. It could be with your caregivers. It could be with your friends, not necessarily someone you have a romantic relationship with. Yeah. So, Eric.
For me, I can't stand people who come visiting unannounced.
Okay.
It's like you should. I don't care how close we are, how long we've known each other. Call. Make sure you ask or know, because I mean I can go to friends' places. You know, I can come to your area 20 times in a month, and I won't stop by except I called you telling you that, oh, I'm coming to your place. So for me, I can't stand people who come visiting.
Okay, so now we're giving like examples of boundaries and all. Okay, so
what's yours?
Mine has to be what I cannot stand, the ultimate I cannot stand. I can't stand visitors. I can't even stand, I'm so sorry, I can't stand when my mom comes visiting unannounced. So I understand that part.
Yeah.
I can't stand when you're in my space. I like me time, me time so much. So if I can spend like 30 minutes with you without having to repeat words, because I repeat words when I'm bored or I'm confused. So if you get me to that place where I'm not comfortable enough to want to have you in my space, then come on, be going. I'm sorry, even my mother, my father, my siblings, they know.
Yeah.
Only my siblings even try to stay in my space for that long, so I can relate. Now, there's something that I'm going to, since you've talked about visiting a lot, I'm going to talk about something that I saw on social media that a lot of people want almost murdered this lady for. She said, my boyfriend is not our man. Our boyfriend, our husband, Edre Dakun. He's my man. You can't call my man when I'm not there. It doesn't matter. Unless I'm in an accident, I cannot speak. And they say, call her boyfriend or call her man. You cannot call my boy. I'm sorry. You cannot say, oh, I ran into him and I decided to see a movie. Or you are not available. If we did plan to see a movie and for some reason I cannot make it, please cancel the date. I'm not, it's not about being insecure. I just feel like there's some things I would not do. I will not be comfortable to stay in your house alone. Even if you have mates, I cannot stay with your partner alone in the house, even if you're my best friend.
You're not the assistant girlfriend.
As in, I'm not, because something can just happen. Is that day that devil will just decide that he wants to come visit
Don't Zion.
and all your home training will just be lost. Or is that day that you'll be sleeping and the door will just lock and the guy will just think that...
Or the kind of rain that's been falling recently.
Because me and my best friend, we look alike. Same everything. You might just feel that, you might just see his wife in me, and before you now start saying, actually, she just come happen. It just happen. I cannot explain it's the devil. Yeah, so we should avoid that. So how do you think we can actually set healthy boundaries? Because there are some boundaries that are unhealthy, though. There are some boundaries that are very unhealthy. So how do you think we can set healthy boundaries?
Communicating with the person, whether it's your family member, your friend, your partner, just communicating with the person that, okay, this is why I need to and so boundaries. It's not like I'm shutting you out, but sometimes I need my space. Sometimes I need to be by myself. You know, a lot of times people forget the fact that a me time is a time where you rejuvenate. You know, it's a time where you sit down with yourself and reflect. A lot of times people feel like you have to be here, you have to be here. When do you sit down with yourself to reflect? To reflect on things you've done, for your goals, your activity for the day, your relationships, the things you did right, the things you didn't do right, how to do it better. it's when you spend time with yourself. But when you are setting those boundaries, have that conversation with the person to
Okay.
make them understand that it's not like you're shutting them out, but you just need this time. You just need this to happen at this time for yourself. And
But now you're narrowing it down to just having me time.
mm-hmm.
There are boundaries on different levels.
Okay, yeah.
I think the first step is to have the boundaries, know what your boundaries are, know what your limits are in your head. Because there are times when you just say things and then you say things, you don't think it through. You just say those things and then you don't really mean those things. You just say them maybe out of anger or at that moment that's what was happening, and then you just said something. And then you said those things without thinking how it will affect your relationship on the long run. So I think the first step is knowing what your boundaries are, what your limits are in your head, and then communicating with whoever you are with, so they also know, so you guys know that you're on the same page. There's some things that you have in your head that maybe from a past relationship, you know, there are some boundaries you set based on what happened in your past relationship, that when you're not trying your relationship, or you don't now set the boundaries in this relationship, you would still work. Do you understand? You now notice that those things that happen, so the first step is, when you have those boundaries in your head, you know what works for you, you know what deal breakers are, you know what your pet peeves are and all. Have that talk with the person. Never assume. Hear them out. Hear them as in through. Let them say what they want to say. Find how you guys should meet, have like a meeting ground where you guys can meet each other, because that's what relationships are basically.
Yeah,
compromise. You guys have to reach a compromise. You know, this is what works for you, this doesn't exactly work for me, so how do we adjust to ensure that I can fit in properly? And then when you do that, do not assume that because you're coming from a place, okay, I'll use myself as an example. So I like that when I'm sad, or when I've had a long day, I like that someone I'm close to, or someone I can cry to, or when that shoulder that I can lean on when I'm having a bad day, I expect them to say they are sorry, you know, not
just
exaggerate, encourage me, talk
you.
about it, tell me the obvious things. Even if I know this person is being bad to me for so reasons, still tell me that you know that they are being bad to me for the reason. Repeat those words. Then something that happened, the person who tells me these things, who says obvious things to me to make me feel better, the mistake I made was, when he had a bad time too, I went to him and said, okay, but you know that this something. Then he said, these are obvious things. And I said, but these are the obvious things that you'd say to me if I were in your shoe. And he says, the fact that you like to hear those things does not mean I like to
hear.
And even if this person likes to say these things to you, it doesn't mean that that's what they like to hear when they're also having a bad day. And the only way you can know that is if you communicate effectively
with the person.
Sometimes you're communicating, but the other person is not listening. So be also sure that as much as you're giving, they're also receiving effectively. Communicate effectively.
So, where do you draw the line between healthy and unhealthy boundaries? Because, for instance, some people in intimate relationships say, oh, if I'm dating someone, I don't want the person going through my phone and do that. And they're like, are you hiding something? But no, I'm not hiding something. So where do you think the lines are drawn from?
What I think is sometimes you know it's instincts. Because you might say, I want to wait till when the order comes from them to do certain things. Like, for instance, if he says don't touch my phone, there'll be times when he'll be the one to say touch my phone, use my phone to do this. It's instinct at the end of the day. Trust me, there are even times when you know that I'm not meant to touch the phone, but at that point, that's what can salvage a situation. That's what can save a relationship. That's what you need to. And waiting for an order from them to touch the phone might be the end of the world. You might wait till, and they would even thank you for touching the phone, because at that point, it's all they need for something to be done. So I think it's instinct. There are times too that you need to touch that phone to satisfy your conscience. You need to touch it and see that what you are looking for, what you are thinking of, is not necessarily what is. Or so there are times where I think it's just instinct.
I feel like people also should learn when to say no.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with saying no. I mean, I always tell people that the word yes and no exists for a reason. You can't expect to use yes or them. So know when to say no, know when to say yes. Even sometimes when your friends ask you for something, maybe you know, or you go on a date with someone and you are always having to pay every time. Like, at some point, no, I don't want to have to do this all the time. Or you're always coming over to the person's place, sleeping over, and you know, all of those things. You just have to understand that sometimes people just want to be, or they just want to go out, or they want to spend time with family. Just I feel like listen to people,
Yes.
their body language and everything. Listen to them. There's a time when maybe your friends come over, they're like, the way Rachel looks today, she not be like say she did for that very chatty
Yes.
mood. Just know that and just give her that space at that time. That
Yes,
she wants
and
to.
then from the angle you said something about learn to say no,
Yes.
and you to learn to accept people's no's. If
True,
I say no,
true.
I'm saying no for a reason.
True.
Sometimes when people set boundaries, it is not about you. It's about them. It's about
true.
how they're feeling. It's
Yes,
about what their
I
body
agree.
is saying
I
at that
agree.
time. The times when I also understand that guys can be confused sometimes as to what we mean as ladies. There are times when I say yes and I mean no. That's what I'm saying, instincts sometimes. Where there are times when I say I don't want to be with you, I want to be left alone, and leaving me alone at that point would mean me making more mistakes. It's that point that the maturity comes, the emotional maturity. You understand that okay, this is what this person needs, and this is. But there are also times when I say no, my no, leave me, guy, free me, or babe, or whoever. Like there are times when I'm having like a heated argument with someone and they just say, you know what, I don't want to talk about this. And you know that talking about it would make you feel better.
Yes.
The fact that they say they don't want to talk about it, be mature enough to think it through. If you have to cry the thought out of your mind, cry the thought out of your mind. If you have to drink the thought out of your mind, drink it out of your mind. But learn to respect people's wishes. If they say, I don't want, no, let
True.
it go. Do you understand?
Yeah,
And then the thing with boundaries, the mistake we make is we always think that setting boundaries is a bad thing. It's good for you to have a list that this is, because that's the only way to even you sit down by yourself, have me time, say what works for me. This person I'm in a relationship with, is this what they want? Is this what they need? Is this how things would work? The fact that it works for person A does not mean it works for person A. That's why it's always good to know what are your deal breakers, what are those things that you don't want to see in a relationship, what's your relationship with so person. There's also, you mentioned phone. There's also the part where my man doesn't like this person. Doesn't mean I have to stop talking to them. There's that part. I've had cases
That
with
thing
that.
is very
Does that mean,
important.
you have to find
How
a
do
balance. You have to
How
strike
do
a
you
balance.
do that?
What I do is I get to try to not get involved. That's a lot of
If you
getting
have a
involved
friend, for instance, that you guys have been friends for a long time, and you just meet someone that you guys have been dating, and maybe your partner is not so comfortable with it, how do you
I understand
set
where my
that
partner
boundary?
is coming from. If it's something that is solvable, I work with it. If it's something that is not solvable, I try to, I save my relationship, man.
But relationship
You
can
work it
come
out.
and go, and then friendship will
Well,
still
yeah,
remain.
no, relationship, even friendships come and go.
True.
I've seen siblings who from day one, they are siblings from the same womb. They know they agree. Even parents, couples live together for 50 years, they break up, nothing they happen. So my point is, try to see if it's workable, if it's something you can deal with. There are some relationships that are better off they're better off scattered, and when they end, they scatter and it pays you. If it's something you can talk about, bring it up when the person is calm and they're not still hurt by
True.
this. What's up? What was the issue with this? If they don't want to talk about it, leave it.
Yeah.
Some other time, try again.
True,
Any
true.
opportunity you get to meet this person, just stylishly bring it up. What's up? If it's something you can salvage, fine. If
Fine,
it's
if it's
nothing,
not, I
let it
agree.
go. Handle your man when you're there or your woman when you're there. Then get them to handle their friends. Don't get involved because then go use you set to last.
I also
that's
feel like
it.
at the end of the day, in the bid to set boundaries, don't antagonize people or
Yes.
alienate people. Sometimes people
Yes.
set boundaries too much that it's like everybody just leaves you
Yes,
day your
yeah,
day. Nobody will
yes.
come even when you need them around. So set it within reason so that you don't alienate people who love you and care about you. I think that's very, very important.
Very
important.
imperative. Okay, so that's the much you can take on this segment, guys. If you do not agree with what we've talked about, please do let us know in the comment section below. And then if you agree, also let us know on our social media page. That's what I mean by below. Go in the comment section. Let us know. Okay, so we'll go on the quick break. When we come back, it'll be time for the lifestyle segment. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Vibe Cafe show. So it is time for lifestyle segments. And today we'll be talking about couples spending culture.
Sure.
So I've heard a lot of people say that they broke up with the people they were in relationships with because those guys didn't know how to save, or some of them were not ready for the long-term thing, which is saving to ensure that they have a better future for their kids, or that
What
they
a-
don't suffer and go broke and now become bankrupt. And I always ask them something. I always say, before you started dating them, did you not know about their saving or spending culture? I'm surprised. I know a guy who said that he broke up with the girl he was with because there was one time that she was having issues with house rent. And then on one of those times that she was talking to her, what's it called, her agent, the guy who was supposed to get
help
the
her.
apartment for her, that she misplaced her phone. Her phone was stolen, and because of the urgency, and then that's the money she spent, about 150,000 naira getting a phone. And this was someone that was trying to get
An
an apartment, and she had a budget for the
that,
apartment. This girl now took out part of the money
it
to buy a new phone because she said she was incommunicado and all of that.
She couldn't have
So
gotten
the
a
guy,
smaller
yeah,
phone.
so the guy was like, how can this type of person even take care of my kids? This would be a case of I need to buy a shebi, or I need to go on vacation,
exactly.
and I'm the man, I'm broke at the moment, and there's no money to pay school fees. This chick would go on vacation and say, since you're the man, take care of. Do you understand? So all those, and things like that can cause resentment in a relationship because you don't know this person. You don't have cash at the moment, maybe because it's their own personal money, they cannot bring into that. So things like that, really.
I think it's people find it hard to discuss finances in relationship. I don't know, for whatever reason. People feel like, maybe because I earn more and I earn less and all of that, it's not your business and all. But I feel like you get to a point in a relationship where it has to be discussed. You have to know the person's spending partner, especially if it's a long-term thing or if you're married to this person. Because you also want to know that, sometimes when you are down financially, you know your partner has you. And then also that comes into understanding your partner. There's someone who spends a lot and some people don't like to save. And if you have another partner that is like, babe, that money they give you, at least drop 100k for save in case, because some people don't know how to save. They need someone to help.
The thing about it is, I think that's what I'm saying, that before you go into a relationship with someone, you need to know these things. You can't tell me that you don't plan for these things when all those regular talks will come up. When you guys are going on your dates, what do you talk about? How do they handle? Do you see them shopping and buying and are they impulsive spenders or buyers? That's the thing. I'm not saying no one should come for your money or anything, or no one should not come for your money. But what I'm simply trying to say is, you know these things. Unless you're the richest man, you're Dangote in the making, then it will not be a problem if your girlfriend is always just picking up everything. But if you know that as now you wear shoe, you know say shoes still they bite, you never free you where you understand, you have those talks with them.
So do you feel like people in a relationship, in a long-term relationship, or married people, do you agree with the joint account thing?
Yes, I do agree with the joint account thing. I believe that you have your own joint account, because things might come up in the relationship. And I also believe that, I also think you should have your own. Because I don't know, there are some TV shows I watch that really got me very conscious about these things. Sometimes you save a certain amount of money for things, and then something might just come up and your partner has to use the money. Of course, your partner might not be comfortable with telling you, because the point is they might want to return it when they have it without letting you know distress or go through distress. They might just have something they're dealing with, or anything might just even go wrong. So aside the joint account, you still have your own personal account.
I think people should just be honest financially.
That's what I mean.
Just be open and honest. Like, I need this money for so and so. I'm taking it, this is it. As long as it's not a frequent thing that you're always doing, like you were saying, I should be today, here, tomorrow, this one. There should be a priority of scale of preference. This is more important than this, and then you should spend your money.
Another thing that would help is sharing responsibilities. You know that this is it this month, babe. I'm not too old, so I'm not collecting your money. I just feel like, I don't even think you need to be told. I just feel like once you're in a relationship and you get to know this person and you're comfortable enough, you just know that there are basic things you should do. There was a post I saw online that was trending for, I think, a few months back, about a lady who said that her husband used to give her a certain amount for upkeep. I don't know if you saw it was big. It was on Twitter. It almost broke the internet. And she said that particular month, her husband didn't bring in any money.
I think I saw
and
that post.
She just checked the regular things he used to do, he didn't do. She checked his normal. She didn't get the normal alerts that he used to get. Now, this is because the guy was open and honest enough. Because if he wasn't open, she would not even know. Now, that's not the end of the story. So she said she waited. The regular things he used to do, he wasn't his happy self. He wasn't just, he was trying to put up an act, but she knew that this wasn't the man she was married to. hospital. So what she did was she now went and bought all the things the money he used to give her. She didn't ask for the money. She didn't grumble. She just went and used her own money and bought everything that the guy normally would buy. She now, when she was now done, she said she now called all his close friends,
I read
now brought
about
them in,
it.
now had dinner, then she now brought it up.
Where person
And she
will
now
find that
brought,
kind of wife?
there are women like that, but
Wow.
it takes a man. It takes a man who is honest and open enough.
True, I agree.
Because there are times when the man does not even bring in so much. So when the money not there, he won't take no. But if it's a man who does this thing, let me tell you something. It's not that the woman was trying to overdo anything. It was just simply because this is what her husband does. So it's like a normal thing. Like for instance, even when I have cash and I'm paid today, there are basic things that my man does, and I'm just like, dude, I just got paid. Do you understand? Are you trying to tell me that when my man cannot do those things, I will grumble? I would do, and I would do for him and do for myself and say, I've settled my own already. So it's meant to be a, but then again, if it doesn't matter how much you spend and everything, there should be responsibilities. Responsibilities that you should not be told about. There are simple things that you as a woman should handle. Simple, take care of this thing. I saved to so amount from this job that I did. It would be like, he might act like he's indifferent, but trust me, deep down, I'm like, that's my girl. So ladies, which self make we day?
Try.
When you are talking savings, don't wait for the man to say save 50k out of this money, save 100k. You save it. Save it by yourself. Heaven will not fall. Abi.
That's all we can take for lifestyle. And now we are going to our vibe segment, which is effective communication. What to you, what do you see as effective communication, especially in a relationship?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the basic meaning of communication as we were taught back in the day. I'm not going to give the proper definition, but I'll just say communication is I talk, you listen, you take in, and you do as I say. Do you understand? Now, effective communication is a two-way street. You are passing an information across. Is this person listening? Is this person taking it? Do you understand? Or you're just saying it and they enter here, they come out for here. Do you understand? That's effective communication. If you have said something to someone and they've not listened, trust me, you've just wasted your time. You've not communicated effectively. So it's you're saying, I'm listening.
Also, somebody said something that sometimes people talk.
They don't
listen. But they don't listen. Because sometimes we just want to hear what the person is saying, but we're not listening. And when you listen, you absorb it, you take it in, and you also make sure you don't repeat that thing. Because one of the things I do not like is when people take it for granted. I told you, for instance, I don't like this thing we do because so and so, and you do it the next time, and you do it the next time, and you do it the next time. It just means that all the times I've been trying to communicate with you, you weren't listening. And if you weren't listening, it means you're taking me for granted and my needs and my wants for granted. So it's very important, much as you communicate with your partner, your friend, or whoever it is you're communicating, listen to understand them, to learn about them, and to do better henceforth. It's very, very important that people take that into cognizance.
Yeah.
That's the much we can take on this episode of Vibe Cafe Show. You know, you can always leave your likes, your comments, your suggestions, slide into our DMs like my co-host Rachel says, and just let us know what you enjoy about the show, what you want to see more on the show, and you just never know, you might be a guest on the show, and it's at Vibe Cafe Show. From me, it's bye.
It go be.